Good afternoon. My name is Michael Gaskin, and I'm the moderator for this panel. And I think before we get started, you can see that we have six very distinguished brothers up here. And I know every one of them have something to say. But we only have 45 minutes. So my job is to keep everything going and everything online. So don't feel no disrespect if I have to cut you off, because everybody have something to say. And we can move forward. But what we'll do at this time is have each one of the panelists introduce themselves, their organization, and the mission and vision of their organization, and one problem that they see in the Greenwood County area. So we'll start with Donald Burke.
Good afternoon. My name is Donald Bird, and I'm president of Dream Builders. We are a mentoring and advocacy group in Greenwood, South Carolina. We work with young men and young ladies aged 6 through 17, and we have mentors. We need more male mentors as well as females, but we do background checks. We don't take sex offenders or pedophiles. So we take care of our kids. So that's one reason we put that on the application if you want to be a mentor or a male mentor or a female mentor. But what we do, we meet every other Saturday with our youth, and we teach them a lot of things, not without going into detail. We meet 2 hours every other Saturday. And 3 things that we can ask them at the end: who am I? Am I who I am? Or am I all I ought to be? So Dream Builders of Greenwood, South Carolina, we've been in existence since 2003. This is my passion, what I love doing. I've worked with state government, been in government about 29 years now, but this is what I like doing. And one problem that I see in Greenwood is self-hatred. That's one of our biggest issues, self-hatred. The hatred of ourselves, and that's a big, big thing with me. So we'll talk about that later.
All right. Next.
My name is Justin Ryan. I'm a replacement for Marcus Scurry on his behalf. I'm representing Realizing Our Dreams Incorporated along with Greenwood High School GM's program, which is Greenwood equals Men of Success. One problem that I find that our African American men within the school system are scared to succeed. So that's what I find.
All right. Next, 6'6".
I'm gonna tell you that, y'all. Really, I'm conscious, and my organization is Conscious Thought. And what we do is go from neighborhood to neighborhood, talking to our miseducated brothers about finding themselves and bettering themselves to make our lives and their lives better. The main problem I see is, there's so many main problems, it's just not one I can put a finger on and say, it's a struggle is all I can tell you, and the problem is next brother.
How y'all doing? My name is Tori Arnold. Yeah, most people call me Prince, so if you hear somebody say Prince, you know, it's the same person. I'm the founder of a nonprofit corporation called Point A Incorporated, and what we do is we provide support services, referral services, information to current and ex-offenders, try to help them transition themselves from being incarcerated when they come home. I guess that's the problem in Greenwood right now is, I mean, a lot of people say it's the youth out there killing each other, but to me, I see the boys out there. I don't see young girls out there killing each other. So I think the problem is we don't have no men as role models. You know what I mean? You got 50, 11 different social clubs of females, and now I ain't seen one yet as males, so, you know, I feel like that's what the problem is. There ain't no men out there.
My name is Steve Coleman. I am Director of College Outreach and Admissions at Piedmont Tech, and I'm also Director of Project Genesis. I run a federal grant program, and the focus of my program is the Success Initiatives for African American Males. Currently, we have 60 African American males in our program that we are tracking here on campus who are registered college students. We'll be adding 40 more, and part of the grant calls for the institutionalization of that program as part of the fabric of this institution. So, in essence, what we are creating now is an Office of Minority Student Advocacy based on the federal government standards. Of course, there's no way on earth they would get me to call it that. So I'm looking, you know, me and Constance, we talk about this all the time. He comes to he just busts up in my office whenever he wants to.
I knew that.
But it's all good. The problem for me, and the reason why I gave up a very cushy job on campus to take over this monumental but task of love is that the lack of, not lack of, but unfinished potential of African American males. We want to affect that.
Yeah. Great work.
My name is Travis Green. I have the youngest nonprofit organization in Greenwood. I'm 24 years old. Lifting Hearts Foundation is a support organization that supports pretty much anybody in Greenwood that needs it, from housing assistance to parenting courses. And I feel that the biggest problem in Greenwood right now is parents aren't actually being parents, they're being more of friends.
Yeah, but it is.
And back to me, I'm Michael Gaskin, as I said earlier. I'm the Executive Director for Greenwood County First Steps, and the concept of First Steps is to fill gaps in early childhood education. Also, I'm the founder and the president of Social Change Initiative. And what Social Change Initiative is about is working with organizations within the community to empower them to change their community. I have a fatherhood initiative and the Real Mothers of Moms, and both of those are basically parenting programs that we work with clients who have faced some form of child abuse and neglect to their children. But and one of the problems I see, or the biggest problem I see in Greenwood, and I agree with every last one of you, but my problem is lack of communication.
True.
We don't know how to communicate. Every last one of these brothers identified a problem. Now the thing of it is, how do we communicate this problem to promote change? So we start with that today. We looked at fear of success. Conscience says so many problems, and he dead right. You don't even know where to start. Fear of success, self-hatred, lack of role models, absence of African American men. I guess we're talking about elderly men or leadership. Unfinished potential of African American males. And I may have left out one or two, but the point of it is, what we want to talk about today is, we know the problem, what are the solutions? Start with you, Mr. Burton. What is the solution?
I think that it goes back to, first of all, knowing your history, who you are and not what you are. That's the solution. Our young men and our young ladies, and I guess I speak from this from the standpoint, I was at the tail end of what we call integration, tail end of segregation at the beginning of integration. We didn't really integrate, we dissolved, because we lost our culture and our history and all of that. So our children know nothing about our history and culture. So they went into an integrated society thinking everything was the way it was. And they don't know anything about us. So we don't know who we are, but we don't know what we are. So if you learn your history, know who you are, and it starts from the cradle on, every day. You don't see the Mexicans doing anything like that. The Indians know their history. Everybody, we learn white culture all the time. Every day, that's poured down our throat.
Now, whose responsibility, parents, is for us to know our history?
Parents.
Our responsibility.
Go on, let's have some dialogue on it. I heard parents, but let's have some dialogue. Parents didn't know nothing about that. They don't know nothing about the history.
Sure did.
So who is to teach who? Who need to take responsibility for teaching our community about the history?
We do.
Those
Who
who
is
know
we?
it.
Those who know it. You're right,
Who is it?
Conscious.
What's that again?
Those who know it.
Those who know it. So how do we get those who know it involved?
Communication.
Right.
Right.
Back to communication.
Now,
All right.
I have a whole curriculum, Dr. Gaskin, and I love to teach this stuff. This is what I do all day long. Every time I get an ear, when I get a brother like Conscious, we talk for hours, just going on and on and on. But then, there's people that don't know, and then they don't want you to know, so then they will put a spy into your process that you're doing and try to diffuse it.
Okay.
So, that go back to what you said. We got to communicate, then we got to learn trust of each other.
Anybody want to expand on that?
I got some.
Go ahead.
We can't trust each other if we don't know each other. Okay, and I think our community is fragmented in that we don't know each other. Why is it that I've been in Greenwood for 12 years and I've never met you? Why is that? I know Donald.
Well, brother, if you ain't met me, then you get out. I'm very out here. I'm really out here.
Well, you know who I am?
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
I think that we are so busy trying to become part of the process that we miss out on the part of the process that we need to get into the game.
Right.
Because we don't take the time to get to know each other.
Well, let me ask this question. We don't know each other. Is it somebody that prevented us from knowing each other?
Thank you. Now, that's a good point right there.
Go ahead, Steve.
When we talk about fragmentation of our communities, one of the things that I think that is the most important thing for African American males to do, and this is something that I tell my own sons on a daily basis, you can never be afraid to express who you are and do what's necessary to find out the information that you need to know.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Even the process of how we as black men have become successful, those of us who have become successful have been outgoing, straightforward, and they have never been afraid to express their needs, their desires, their wants. If you need to find out information, if you need to create opportunities, if you need to create situations that you can exist within to be successful, you have to be able to do that.
Let me stop you. Let me stop and ask you a question. So when you understood your purpose and your goals of life, what gave you that, for all those who don't know, confidence in yourself is a huge thing. What gave you that confidence to actually take that next step?
You know, it has a lot to do, now that is where it goes back to having a lot to do with the people who groomed you, who you have to have role models whom you've seen that have done things that have been successful. I don't want to go back with the cliche that, you know, my father, I know my father, I've always known my father, but I lived with my mother. And my mother was the same lady that, you know, I remember the first time I ever kind of back talked. And when I got up off the floor, I realized then that probably is not going to happen again. But one of the things that she always told me, you got to understand something, you know, I'm 45 years old. My mother is 15 years older than me with an 8th grade education. But she's the most intelligent person I've ever met in my life. The one enduring characteristic I've always taken from her is, whatever it is I want, you just got to tell me no. And that's something that has to be developed. You have to have an inner confidence, but you have to have the ability to say, okay, I want this, I'm going to go get it. And that is a characteristic that if you start talking about successful people, whether you're going to be an MMA fighter, whether you're going to teach math, whether you're going to be a fathership initiative, or whether you're going to be conscious and do the things that you do, there's never a time when you get up on stage where you feel like, I need to be second to anyone. I'm going to go get this right now, and that's the attitude that we have to have. Now, I will say what it comes back to me, and why I do what I do, is it's education. That's where we need to get our young men educated from a very early age. That's middle school, that's high school. And who among us now, unless you're going to be an entrepreneur, and you even need to be formally educated to do that as well. You got to know how to talk, you got to know how to negotiate, you got to know how to put forth your message in the ways that you need to do so.
And one second. And I think Steve is dead right. Everybody get an education and they figure like right around the window or right around the door or right behind that diploma or right behind that degree is success. And it's not. This book here, Miseducated Negro, is the book that changed my life. Because I really think out of all the education I have, I really think I was much more intelligent before I got involved in trying to think like somebody else.
There you go, brother.
I think I was more intelligent. My man, the great moderator back there.
I just got two quick questions. One, you guys talked about not knowing each other, being in Greenwood for a while. How much of the lack of home ownership and not really knowing your neighbors, individuals financially becoming successful, moving to another area because it's supposed to be better, how much does that play a role in not knowing each other?
That plays a great role, brother, because the person that's probably moving into you next door, I don't have that problem because I live on family land. so I know everybody around me, so we're good. But that person that coming in, moving next door to you, may have some different values that you don't have, and the way you think, they may not think. They may have been miseducated and trained instead of education. There's a difference between training and education. You can train a dog to jump through hoops of fire, wear a skirt, and walk on hind legs, and you would say that is a well-trained dog. But the educated dog who's not trained can go hunt for food for his family, protect his family, and you get the word sick. So when you look around our community, we got a lot of trained individuals, but very few educated ones.
So what are they trained by then, young bro?
They're trained by that system of miseducation.
So hold on. Y'all, we'll be here for hours doing this. This is my thing right here. This is
Your oppressor trains you. So when you're trained by your oppressor, its objective is not to get you to be where he's at. It's just like racism has 4 phases. I think it's refinement is the last one. Then you got the first one is let's see, refinement.
Assimilation.
No. That's not it. It's 4. I'll tell you real quick, but while
he check that out, let me ask you a question. The brother asked a very important question. Do economics play a part in us, or does it, let's put it this way, does economics separate us as black
yes.
people?
Yes.
That's an individual choice.
Let's see it.
Where I live is not where I live. I may live in a particular neighborhood, and fortunately or blessed, as I live in a pretty decent neighborhood. But that's not where I'm most comfortable, and it has nothing to do with identification of who I am.
But most people in Greenwood that don't have what you have would look at you by what you do have, and that would distance themselves.
Not want to be close to you because of the way you're from.
That's
That's-
Like you say,
but
it's
that's
a
But that is if I allow that.
That's right, exactly.
That's if I allow
That's how I
that.
allow that.
If most people that would know me would probably, Lamont has asked me, how the hell you get this job? You don't fit in this job. What I fit is, this is the best way that I can to affect the generation of young men, and that's why I do. And if you know me, you know that my degrees, my salary, none of that really is what defines me. What defines me is my mission in life, my purpose, and that's to help young brothers. There's nobody in this town that I don't know. I sought them out. I sought out Mike. I sought out Donald. I sought out Miss Childs. I've worked with them all. They all know the mission, the passion that we have. And that's the initiative that you have to have. Individual initiative is what's going to make a difference. I, for one, rail against the term oppressor. I just don't believe that I have one. They can say what they want.
And economics is something that we as all people need to understand. Economics form of, this is my area, I love this. Economic form on 2 systems, supply and demand. If all of us was thirsty, and that brother had the only cup of water here, and all of us was billionaires, we would pay whatever price to get that cup of water. And that's the way the system worked. Slavery existed not because of hatred of the black man,
But because of what?
because of economics,
That's right.
money.
So let me stop you. Let me stop you. I know you're the moderator.
Okay.
Let me stop you right there. So being that slavery was driven by economic gain and need, what happened to the original mind of the original man? Because before that man was a slave, he was something else.
But slavery existed at first, but it happened only for 3 reasons. War, deprivation, and I'm missing one right quick. And debt. 3 reasons. So if you were a person and you got in debt, you were put in slavery. Is there any different today? Same thing. We in debt, we in slavery. Okay. Next thing you know, if you had war, why am I going to have war with my neighbor and not control my neighbor after the war? Because if I let my neighbor go ahead and build back up, what are you going to do? He's going to come back at you. So you can see where all of this plays into part today. Now, I'm the moderator, so I'm going to be quiet and go ahead and...
With that thought, let me stop you again. So you just said that in order, when you aiming to conquer, you show no mercy, first and foremost. So by the slave being built through the need, well, because we have debt and
Deprivation.
And deprivation, and what else you say? War. And war. And war means to show no mercy to those who you're striving to conquer. Now you take the existence of us. By the color of your skin, and by, if you, I don't know how many of y'all know y'all history, where y'all came from, but understand that you are not just a black person. In fact, to be called black is disrespectful because black is a color.
Right, it's a color.
But if you understand what black is and who you are and what we represent, imagine if we came together. Look at every other race on the face of this earth. What do they have within each other? Unity.
Exactly.
What do we have? Brother, because you look different, or better yet, because you drive a different car, you ain't said, don't forget it. I don't like you, I don't have nothing to do with you. But you got your car by selling crack cocaine, shit, bro, we can get on. That's the understanding. So again, the question goes back to, was slavery then built for, because we had debt, or were the slaves freed by whatever his name was, for
You mean the man?
His dad was black. Steve Marley.
If our unity could do anything in our communities, if us men and women and community leaders could do one thing to affect change for the generations that are coming behind us, if we could eradicate the perception of limited opportunity, that would work wonders. I was listening to Brother Holloman earlier. In his speech, this is what I got from it. I'm going to do whatever it is I want to do, and you're not going to be able to stop me from doing it.
period.
This is what all the other people are saying. It's a perception of limited opportunity. So we have in our community now, because there are economic factors, there are educational factors that are associated with limited success. We have a generation of individuals who, because they're trying to compete for what is success in their own minds, it leads to illegal success. It leads to whatever I can get that makes me feel like I'm successful. But if we take away that and we give everybody an equal vision and an opportunity to understand, listen, bro, you don't have to be a 4.0 student. I wasn't. You know, when I go back to Newberry High School sometimes early on, I used to wonder, boy, some of these teachers probably think I should never get out of here. But we don't have to perpetuate that. What we can perpetuate and begin to perpetuate as people who are successful and have influence is to say, hey man, hey, you can do whatever it is you want to do. I'm here to help you. If I can help you in any way, let's do that. And then that creates a camaraderie in our neighborhoods, and that helps us to move forward.
Do you see that? Do you all see that in Greenwood County?
No.
Do you see, I think we said self-hatred
Self-hatred
and a lack
is the thing.
of role models. Now let's be honest. Do we really want to see strong role models in our community?
But see, when we pull together, it doesn't matter what we do. When we pull together, the success rate with that becomes so high.
Yeah,
we
that's
pull
right.
together on what
the objective is still the same.
we
Yeah,
come
the
together
objective.
on what we decide to come together on.
Right.
But we can't come together on certain things because of that thinking like an individual concept.
That's right.
That's not an
Different strategy,
individual.
different
We are not an I am because I am race. We are I am because we are race. We knew that we stand on the shoulders of giants. That's the way we should be doing that thing. But we don't. We come from with that individualism. I got this. I got that. I got this. I didn't get anything by myself.
Okay, Don, let me ask you a question. Now, you know, I got to play devil's advocate. That's what the moderator does. Okay. Do you all really feel that there is some force out there that's always tackling the black race?
I
Do you
agree.
think?
I agree.
Okay, so we got to get. We got to get.
Yes.
We got to
Yes.
get.
Yes.
Come on with
Yes.
it.
My one word is ignorance.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, true indeed. I'd rather for you to beat me up physically than to beat me psychologically, mentally. Now, if you beat me physically, yeah, I'm gonna remember what you did to me, but the wounds are gonna heal. But if you beat me mentally, I'm gonna always have a shadow on my next move, thinking, well, should I not? Not understanding my true purpose or my true potential. It'll be shadowed by what happened then. Now they say, well, oh, you a racist because you talk about how the white folks did our ancestors. Well, how can, first off, how can I be a racist? We are the first people on the planet Earth.
You can't be racist.
I can't be racist. And because I love to share my people and I tell us who we are against the opposition, that makes me wrong. Or that makes you look at me different because, oh, he talk all the time.
They're trying to take you.
I can't talk all the time because I'm gonna tell you about something.
Because you have passion for it.
Now, Dr. Gaskin, one quick. Racism, the 4 phases: establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement. And guess what? When you get through to refinement, you go back to establishment. So it spreads, it spreads, it spreads. So it continues to grow. Brother, he and I were talking. You can't be a racist. I got to argue with a professor the other day. He said, "Black, we cannot be racist.
It's impossible.
And there's no such thing as reverse racism.
There's no such thing as reverse racism. So quit thinking like that. Don't let nobody tell you that you're a racist. You're not. You may be a bigot and prejudiced on some things. I got my individual prejudices on things I don't like.
And you may be discriminative.
Yeah, but I'm not racist.
Because Donald believe in institutional racism.
They made it like
He
that.
said that. He have said that in
I
the
was
school board
and
meeting.
said it. Yeah, and you
Institutional
had my back.
racism.
What does that mean, sir?
Institutional racism is when the institution is
It's designed
depriving you.
on a
It's
racist
designed for you to fail. Let me give you a good example of one.
Sports.
Education.
Thank you. Education. It's designed to fail.
Some education systems are set up. We go to these schools. They tell us to apply for financial aid. They know we're not ready for it. They know that we're going to go into debt. They know that we're not prepped. But they tell us to come anyway. You said sports. Sports, a lot of it. Knowing good and well that you're moving me from being in poverty today to be having millions and millions of dollars tomorrow. That you don't educate.
That thought in terms of sports, for instance, might be the most flawed ideology I've ever heard. And I say this because there's only 2 things, and ladies forgive me, I wrote a paper about this in college. I went to college on a full basketball scholarship. I could flat get it when I was about 185 pounds. Nah, I can't do nothing for you. But there's only 2 things you can be as an athlete. You can be a pimp, you can be a prostitute.
Oh boy.
Now let's think about it that way. Ladies, forgive me. But this is what I said. Any